Hey guys, welcome back to another video on the channel. If you're new here, my name's Chandler. In today's video, I'm going to be giving you guys some summer book recommendations, and then at the end of the video, I'll be telling you some books I want to read this summer. These books are almost all romance. There's a few exceptions to that, but to me, I just feel like summer is such like a little romancy book time of year. And a lot of these are YA actually. But without further ado, let's just get into it. First, I'm going to talk about my recommendations for you guys. The first book I'm going to talk to you guys about is The Honeymooners by Christina Lauren. I read this book last month actually, and it was pretty good. This follows Olive, and her twin sister is getting married, but all of a sudden the twin sister and the groom come down with like a sickness after the wedding, so they can't go on their honeymoon. So her twin sister just tells Olive to go ahead and go on the honeymoon herself. She goes on it with the groom's brother, Ethan. They really don't like each other and they don't want to go together, but they have to pretend like they just got married. So it's like this whole thing, and then they see people they know, and it's like they have to try to figure all that out. This book just kind of gives all the summery vibes. The honeymoon happens in Maui, Hawaii, so it gives you like all the summery vibes. I mean, just looking at the cover, if you can't tell it's summery, then I don't know what will tell you that, but I would recommend this book for sure. Another book I actually read last month was The Roughest Draft by Emily Wibberley and Austin Seidman Broca, and this follows two writers that used to be co-writers, but then for whatever reason they stopped writing together and they don't like each other anymore. But then their contract tells them that they have to write one more book together, so they have to go to this little beach town, I believe, and write another book together, but they don't even like each other. If I'm thinking right, it's Second Chance. I could be wrong, but I think it's the Second Chance. I think it's also not enemies to lovers, but kind of like they don't like each other to lovers. I hate saying enemies to lovers for romance books now, because to me, enemies to lovers is like in a fantasy book when it's like they're meant to kill each other, but then they fall in love. You know what I mean? So I feel like if they just don't like each other, that's not enemies, but I don't know. But that's this book. The next book is Every Summer After by Carly Fortune. This book follows Persephone, who kind of lives in the city, but she used to live in this small beach town, but then she gets a call that I'm not going to say why she gets the call because I think that's a spoiler, even though it's like in the first chapter, but anyway, she gets a call to go back to the beach town for something. So she goes back to this beach town and she sees Sam, who she used to be in love with like so many years ago, and we don't know the reason they broke up, but basically they like don't talk anymore, but then, you know, obviously a romance sparks again. So this is a second chance romance, and it is told from past and present point of view. Kind of get like both timelines, and then you can kind of piece things together yourself. And this book just gives total summer vibes. Like if I could say summer in a book, it would be this book. And this book also kind of reminds me of Love and Other Words and The Summer I Turned Pretty. Like I feel like those books mashed together would be this book. So overall, really enjoyed this book and I would recommend it. Speaking of The Summer I Turned Pretty, then we have The Summer I Turned Pretty trilogy. These three books are all young adult, by the way, so if you're like a bit younger, these definitely are perfect for you. These books follow Belly, and every summer she goes with her mom to visit her mom's like best friend, and her mom's best friend has two sons, Conrad and Jeremiah. There's a love triangle between them, but it's also like a coming of age novel, and I love this book. There's also a TV show adaptation on Amazon Prime. I watched like the first 2 episodes and then I stopped, but that's this book. The second book is It's Not Summer Without You, and this just basically follows a second summer, and can't really say like exactly what it's about because it's like a spoiler. And then the final book is We'll Always Have Summer. So again, one more summer with Belly and the brothers. The next book is Book Lovers by Emily Henry, and this book follows Nora, and she lives in New York City, and she is a publisher, I think. I don't know, she works in the book industry, I know, and there's this guy, Charlie Lostra, that she really doesn't get along with in her job, and her sister decide to have a little girls weekend away in North Carolina, so they go there. But while they're there, they actually keep bumping into Charlie, which is kind of random because like they live in New York and now they're in North Carolina, and they basically fall in love from there. So that's Book Lovers because they both kind of work in the book industry. I'm recommending this for summer because it takes place during summer and they like go to the beach and stuff, I think. It just kind of reminds me of summer, I guess. The next book I loved. I think it might be my favorite Colleen Hoover book. I don't read a lot of Colleen Hoover anymore. That was kind of when I was first getting into books. But this book I literally have never forgotten, and that is Heart Bones by Colleen Hoover. This book follows Bea, and she lives with her mom, but then for a reason that I'm not going to say, she has to go move in with her dad for the summer. She kind of lives in poverty with her mom, but her dad is like really rich, lives in this beach town, and while she's living with her dad, she notices the neighbor, Samson, and Samson's like really mysterious, and they kind of become best friends over the summer, and then obviously it's like friends to lovers. But then some weird coincidences start happening, and the plot twist in this book, I didn't think there was gonna be a plot twist, but it is so good. And I read this book within like 2 days, I think, and I just remember absolutely loving everything about it, and I would highly recommend this book for summer. The next book is 28 Summers by Ellen Hilderbrand. This book kind of takes place in the past, so it kind of tells you the present and then it like pulls you back into the past, where Mallory spent 28 summers with this guy named Jake, I believe, and it was just like a one weekend every year type of thing that they would spend together, and it's kind of like their love story and like crazy things happen. It's set on the island of Nantucket. I think this is actually where all of Ellen Hilderbrand's books are set. At least the ones that I've read, they're all set in Nantucket, and I really enjoyed this book. It gave me all the beachy vibes, and I loved it for that. The other book I read by her I don't own physically, and that's The Perfect Couple. This book basically follows a couple that is getting married, but then someone at the wedding is murdered, so they kind of have to figure out, you know, little murder mystery vibes there, and there's like little romances going on within the wedding, and it's like everyone's connected somehow, and it's just kind of crazy to read about. But again, it's set in Nantucket, which gives all of the summer vibes. The last book I'm going to recommend for summer is Mary Jane by Jessica Anya Blau, and this book is absolutely amazing. This one's actually not a romance. I would call it just like a literary fiction coming of age novel, and this book follows Mary Jane, who is 14, and she kind of lives in a secluded household. She kind of doesn't know much about life other than what her family has taught her, which like isn't that much, but then she spends the summer babysitting this family, and they are like the complete opposite of her family. They're like super open about everything, and it really just shows Mary Jane's character development over the summer. I can't remember the girl she babysits' name, but the girl she babysits is absolutely adorable, and I loved her. So good. I highly recommend this book. It is so summery, like summer in a book right here, and I would highly recommend it. It's also pretty short. Okay, now we're gonna quickly go through some of the books that I want to read this summer. I don't own a lot of them, so I'm gonna be like reading them off my phone because I wrote them down. But the first one is Happy Place by Emily Henry, and this is Emily Henry's new release. I know it's about this girl and guy who they were engaged to be married, but then they broke up. But every summer, them and their friends go to this beach house, but they haven't told their friends they broke up yet for a certain reason. So they pretend to still be engaged while they go on this summer beach vacation, and I think they like re-fall in love during it. But I've also heard it's more just literary fiction and like, you know, friendships and everything summer in this book, and I think Emily Henry's books are like that a lot of the time. I've read Beach Read and Book Lovers by her, so I've read 2 of her books, and I kind of would agree that they have a literary fiction element to them, so I really want to read that this summer. Then we have Meet Me by the Lake by Carly Fortune, and this is Carly Fortune's new release as well. She's the author of Every Summer After, which is the book I showed you guys earlier, but I kind of don't want to read it as much anymore. I still do. I don't know a lot about it, but I was super excited for it, but then I've now seen people talk about it that have read it, and I haven't really seen any reviews like above a 3-star, so I probably won't buy it in case I don't like it. I'll probably just listen to the audiobook of it and then buy it if I do like it. Then we have One Italian Summer by Rebecca Surley, and this follows a girl whose mother has just died, and her mother was like her best friend, and her mother would go on this trip to Italy every year, so she just decides to go anyways. And when she is on that trip, she sees her mother, and her mother's like dead, but like her mother's ghost, like what is it? And it just sounds super interesting to read, and again, it's like super short, so I feel like this would be a good short summer read, and it's in Italy, so I feel like that kind of gives summer, so I'm really excited to read this one, and hopefully it's good. I read In 5 Years by Rebecca Surley, and that one was okay for me. It was like a 3-star, like it was good. I would recommend it, but it wasn't amazing. Then we have a book I've been wanting to read forever, which is Better Than the Movies by Lynn Painter. I have yet to read a Lynn Painter book yet, but I really want to. It's about a girl named Liz and a guy named Wes, and Liz likes this guy and she wants Wes to help her get with the guy, but then as he tries to do that, they kind of fall in love with each other instead. And I've heard it has a lot of movie references, I've heard it has a lot of Taylor Swift references, and this just seems like it would be right up my alley. It's YA, so I think it would read pretty quickly, so I'm really excited to pick up this one this summer. Then we have I've Got Your Number by Sophie Kinsella, and I don't exactly understand what this book's about, but it just looks cute. I think it's about a girl who like maybe loses her phone, but a guy finds it, and like I don't exactly know. I read like the first 5 pages of it and then put it down one time, but I do want to read this summer. Then we have It Happened One Summer by Tessa Bailey, and I, again, don't know a lot about this one, but hey, the word summer is literally in the title, so it must be pretty summery, and I know it's just like a small town, grumpy sunshine romance, and I think I would like that. And then we have The Summer of Broken Rules by K.L. Walther, and I really want to read this one. I've heard it's about a family that like goes to a different country or state, I don't know, somewhere summery, and they play like this huge game of Assassin. It's a super summery book overall, and that sounds so good to me, and I don't know a lot about the game Assassin, but it sounds really fun, so I would love to read about that. And then the final book is When in Rome by Sarah Adams. Look how little this book is. It's like so cute and small. It's literally 305 pages. It's teeny tiny and super cute. This book is a One of Us's famous book. From what I've heard, the girl's car breaks down as she's coming to this little small town, but she's like a famous pop star, and the guy that helps her is like the love interest later in the book, and she basically is like stuck in this small town and she doesn't have a place to stay, so he like offers up his guest room even though he doesn't really like her. This book just sounds so cute, and I think it happens in Rome, Kentucky or something, like not actual Rome, but just seems like a super quick summery read, and I would love to read this. I read one of her other books, which was The Cheat Sheet, and I gave that one 5 stars. I loved it so much. I don't own it, and I loved her writing. I flew through it, so I really want to read this one as well. So here's all my book recommendations. Oh, they're falling everywhere. But I hope you guys did enjoy this video. If you did, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe down below. I love you guys so much, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye!